Right now, there is a woman in your life who has already decided she wants you. She made that decision weeks ago, maybe even months ago, and she has been screaming it at you in ways you are completely blind to. I know this because I am a woman, and what I am about to tell you is something most of us would never admit out loud. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to spot the four unmistakable signs that she has already made her choice. And brother, it might just change your entire love life overnight. Here is a truth that most men never hear from an honest source. Women do not wait around passively hoping some guy will notice them. That is a fairy tale. The reality, according to research published in the journal Evolution and Human Behavior, women initiate approximately two-thirds of all romantic encounters through nonverbal signaling. Two-thirds. That means in most relationships that have ever existed, she chose him first. He just didn't know it. And that is the problem. She already chose you. She already ran the mental simulation of what it would be like to hold your hand, to be in a relationship with you, to introduce you to her friends. She did all of that in her head before you even figured out whether she was being just friendly. Now, here is where things get interesting and honestly a little bit scary, because if you miss these signs, she will not wait forever. Women have a silent countdown timer, and once it runs out, she convinces herself she was wrong about you, and she moves on sometimes to the guy who was paying attention. And the cruel part, you will never even know what you lost. So today, I am going to hand you a cheat sheet straight from the female brain. Four signs that are so clear, so specific that once you know them, you will never miss them again. And I saved the most powerful one for last. It is the one sign that when you see it, you can be almost completely certain she is yours if you just step up. But you need to hear all four to understand why that last one matters so much. Let's get into it. Sign number one, she creates reasons to be near you that make zero logical sense. Okay, I need you to think about something for a second. When was the last time you went out of your way, genuinely inconvenienced yourself to be near someone you felt absolutely nothing for? You didn't. Nobody does that. It is a waste of energy, and human beings are wired to conserve energy unless something important is at stake. So when a woman keeps showing up in your orbit for reasons that do not quite add up, pay attention. This is not coincidence. This is strategy. Let me give you an example. There was a guy named David. A friend of a friend told me this story, and I have never forgotten it. David worked at a mid-sized marketing firm. There was a woman on a completely different floor, different department, different everything. They had met briefly at a company event, and suddenly, over the next few weeks, she started appearing in his section of the building. She needed to use that specific printer, even though there were three printers closer to her desk. She started going to the coffee machine on his floor. She once asked him a question about a software program that she absolutely could have Googled in 4 seconds. David thought she was just being sociable. His coworker pulled him aside one day and said, "Dude, she is into you." David laughed it off. 3 months later, she started dating someone else in the company. David told his coworker later, "I think you were right." Yeah, David, he was right. And now you get to learn from David's mistake. Here is the psychology behind this. Dr. Monica Moore at Webster University conducted a landmark study observing over 200 women in social settings. She documented more than 52 distinct nonverbal behaviors women use to signal interest. And one of the most common, proximity seeking. Women will strategically place themselves in a man's physical space, sometimes repeatedly, as an invitation for him to engage. But here's the thing most guys miss. She will almost never admit that is what she is doing. If you asked her directly, "Hey, why do you keep coming to this floor?" she would give you a perfectly logical explanation, and she would believe it herself partially, because women often rationalize these behaviors even to themselves. The desire to be near you operates on a level that is deeper than conscious thought. It is instinctual. So the sign is not just that she is around. The sign is that her presence near you defies practical logic. She is choosing the longer route, the less convenient option, the unnecessary interaction because proximity to you feels better than efficiency. And if you are noticing a pattern of her just happening to be, wherever you are, congratulations. That is not the universe being cute. That is a woman who has already made a decision about you. But this first sign on its own can be subtle, which is why the second sign is where things start getting really obvious if you know what to look for. Sign number two, she remembers details about you that you forgot you even shared. This one is a dead giveaway, and it honestly surprises me how many men completely overlook it. Let me paint a scenario. You mentioned casually maybe 3 weeks ago that you had a dentist appointment coming up. You said it in passing. It was not a big deal. It was maybe one sentence in the middle of a longer conversation. Then 3 weeks later, she texts you or says in person, "Hey, how did that dentist thing go?" Now, I need you to understand something about human memory. We do not remember everything people tell us. Our brains are constantly filtering out information it deems unimportant. According to cognitive psychologist Dr. Daniel Schar at Harvard, our memory systems are designed to prioritize information tied to emotional significance. We remember what matters to us. We forget what does not. So, when she remembers that you mentioned your younger brother's basketball game, or that you said you were thinking about switching to a new gym, or that your mom's birthday is in October, she is not just being a good listener. Her brain has flagged everything about you as important. You are not background noise to her. You are the main event. And here is where the humor kicks in. Because men, bless your hearts, you will tell a woman your entire life story. She will absorb every word like she is studying for a final exam, and then you will turn around and forget her birthday. It is genuinely comedy, but it also tells you something critical about asymmetry in attention. When someone is giving you that level of attention, that is not friendship behavior, that is investment behavior. There was a study conducted at the University of Texas that found people in the early stages of romantic attraction demonstrate significantly enhanced memory for details related to the person they are attracted to. The researchers called it attentional adhesion. Basically, her brain is sticky when it comes to you. Everything you say gets filed, cataloged, and stored for future reference. And here is the part that should really make you sit up straight. She is not doing this to impress you. Most of the time, she does not even realize she is doing it. It is automatic. Her brain has already categorized you as someone who matters, and it is operating accordingly whether she has consciously admitted her feelings or not. So, if a woman in your life is consistently recalling small, seemingly insignificant things you mentioned in passing, things that even you forgot about, she is telling you something. She has been paying attention to you at a level that goes beyond casual interest. Her mind has already chosen you. It is filing you under important person. The only question is whether you are going to notice. Now, the third sign is one that women will argue with me about. They will say, no, that does not mean anything. I do that with everyone. And I am here to tell you, no, you do not. Not like this. Sign number three. She gets subtly possessive or territorial when other women enter the picture. Oh, this one is fun and slightly terrifying, but mostly fun. So here is what happens. Everything is normal. She is chill, relaxed, easygoing. Then another woman enters the scene. Maybe a coworker mentions a girl who was asking about you, or a female friend hugs you a little too long, or you casually bring up that a woman you know sent you a funny message, and something shifts. It might be tiny, a slight change in her tone, a question. That sounds casual, but is loaded with intelligence-gathering energy. Something like, oh, who is she, or how do you know her again? Or my personal favorite, the response that is technically supportive but dripping with something else entirely. Oh, that is nice. She sounds great. When a woman says she sounds great in that specific flat tone, what she is actually communicating could fill a doctoral thesis. Here's what is happening beneath the surface. Anthropologist Dr. Helen Fisher, who has spent decades studying the neuroscience of love, explains that romantic attachment activates brain regions associated with reward, motivation, and yes, territorial behavior. When a woman has internally chosen a man, even if she has not said a single word about it, her brain begins treating his attention as a resource, and when that resource appears threatened, her response is not always rational. It is primal. Now, I want to be clear. I am not talking about toxic, jealousy, or controlling behavior. That is a completely different category and a red flag. What I am talking about is the subtle, almost involuntary shift that happens when a woman who has feelings for you perceives even the slightest possibility of competition. Let me tell you about something I personally witnessed. A friend of mine, Sarah, had been casually hanging out with this guy for about 2 months. She kept insisting they were just friends, even though everyone in our friend group had a running bet about when they would finally get together. One night, we were all out, and a woman none of us knew came up to him and started chatting. Sarah physically repositioned herself closer to him. She inserted herself into the conversation. She started touching his arm, something she had never done before in front of us. After the other woman left, Sarah went right back to her normal, relaxed behavior. I looked at her and said, you just marked your territory, right? She turned red and said, I did not. She absolutely did. And the fact that she did not even realize it made it even more telling, because these responses are not planned. They are not calculated. They come from a part of the brain that has already made a decision, even if the rest of her has not caught up yet. So if you notice a woman who suddenly becomes more attentive, more present, more physically close to you when another woman is in the picture, and then returns to baseline once the threat is gone, that is one of the clearest signs you will ever get. She has chosen you. She might not have told you. She might not have even told herself. But her behavior in those moments tells the whole story. And now we come to sign number 4. I told you at the beginning that I saved the most powerful one for last, and I meant it because this final sign is the one that separates she might be interested from she is practically begging you to make a move. Sign number 4. She starts sharing her vulnerabilities and insecurities with you unprompted. This is the big one, and most men have no idea how significant it is. Let me explain why. Women are conditioned from a very young age to protect themselves emotionally. Society, experience, and frankly survival instincts teach women to be careful about who they let in. According to Dr. Beanie Brown, whose research on vulnerability has been cited over 100,000 times in academic literature, vulnerability is not weakness. It is the most accurate measure of courage. And when a woman chooses to be vulnerable with a specific person, she is making one of the most significant emotional investments she can make. So when a woman starts telling you things she does not tell other people, her fears, her insecurities, the things she worries about at 2 a.m., the parts of herself she usually keeps hidden, she is not just making conversation. She is handing you a piece of herself and trusting you not to break it. That is not something women do casually. That is not something women do with just a friend. That is something women do when they have already decided on a deep level that you are safe, that you are chosen. Here is a story that perfectly illustrates this. A man named Marcus shared this experience in a psychology forum, and it stuck with me. He had been friends with a woman for about a year. They talked regularly, hung out in groups, everything was surface level pleasant. Then one evening, seemingly out of nowhere, she called him and told him about a family situation that was causing her enormous stress. She cried on the phone. She told him things about her childhood she said she had never told anyone. It lasted 2 hours. Marcus was concerned and supportive, but he treated it as a friend thing. He did not read into it. 6 months later, she told him she used to have feelings for him, but had moved on because she felt he did not see her that way. Marcus said, "That phone call was when I should have known." And he was right, because here is what was really happening during that call. She was not just processing her emotions. She was testing, not manipulatively, instinctively. She was offering him her most unprotected self and watching to see if he would hold it gently. It was an invitation disguised as a breakdown. And when he responded with care, but no romantic initiative, she eventually interpreted that as disinterest. Research from the Kinsey Institute shows that emotional intimacy is the single strongest predictor of romantic bonding for women. Stronger than physical attraction, stronger than shared interests, stronger than humor. When a woman opens up to you emotionally in a way that feels raw, real, and unrehearsed, she is essentially saying, I trust you with the parts of me I do not show the world. Now, what are you going to do about it? And here's the painful irony. The men who receive this gift of vulnerability, the most often are the ones least likely to recognize it for what it is, because men are taught to view emotional conversations as problems to solve, not as invitations to connect. So she pours her heart out and he says, that sounds tough. I hope it works out. And in her mind, the countdown timer ticks closer to zero. So if there is a woman in your life who has started peeling back her layers with you, sharing things that make her feel exposed, trusting you with parts of herself she normally guards, that is not her being emotional. That is her being brave. That is her choosing you in the most meaningful way she knows how without actually saying the words, I choose you. And if you are sitting here right now recognizing these signs in someone specific, the unnecessary proximity, the detailed memory, the subtle possessiveness, the raw vulnerability, then you need to understand something. She has done her part. She has given you every signal in her arsenal without sacrificing her dignity by making the first explicit move. The ball is not just in your court. It has been sitting in your court collecting dust. So let me bring all of this together. Women are not mysterious, unknowable creatures operating on some alien frequency. We are actually remarkably transparent once you learn the language, and the 4 signs I just gave you are not obscure or ambiguous. They are clear, consistent, and backed by actual behavioral research. She creates illogical reasons to be near you. She remembers things about you that even you forgot. She gets subtly territorial when other women appear. And she trusts you with her most vulnerable, unfiltered self. If you are seeing even 2 or 3 of these signs from the same woman, she is not being friendly. She is not being nice. She is being brave in the only way she feels she can be without risking total rejection, and the window will not stay open forever. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that unreciprocated romantic signals lead to emotional withdrawal within an average of 4 to 6 months. That means if she has been showing you these signs and you have not responded, you are on borrowed time. Not because she is impatient, but because she is protecting herself. And at some point, self-preservation wins over hope. So what do you do now? You do not need some grand romantic gesture. You do not need to rent a billboard or write a poem. You need to do one thing: match her energy. If she is making excuses to be near you, find a reason to spend time with her one-on-one. If she remembers your details, show her you remember hers. If she gets a little possessive, let her know subtly that she has nothing to worry about. And if she opens up to you, open up back. That is the move. It is not complicated. It is just courage meeting courage. Now, before you go, there is something I need you to see, because everything I just told you about these 4 signs, they all connect to something even more revealing, something physical. There is one specific moment when a woman's body tells you everything her words refuse to, and that moment is the hug. Not every hug, obviously, but there is a specific type of hug, the way she holds you, where she places her arms, how long she lingers, that reveals more about her true feelings than any conversation ever could. And I made an entire video breaking it down for you. It is called When a Woman Hugs You, This is What She's Really Telling You. And it is appearing on your screen right now. If you just watched this whole video and you are serious about understanding the woman in your life, that video is not optional. It is the missing piece, because you can know all 4 of these signs, but if you miss what her body is communicating in that one physical moment, you are still operating with half the picture. Click it now. I will see you there.